Thanks for taking the time to watch this video. I'm going to be explaining the 5 things that every restaurant owner must do to bring in the perfect customers without spending more on advertising. Do you ever feel like you're wasting money on marketing? Have you ever felt like you have to reinvent the wheel every time you do a new promotion? What would it do for your business if your restaurant brand was attracting new customers every day, pulling people off the streets to try out your restaurant? Wouldn't it be awesome if you could spend a little time right now to change the way you view things so that you make sure that every marketing dollar you spend is reaching its full potential? Well, I'm going to explain the main problem that most small businesses and most restaurants are making, teach you how to think differently so that you can achieve that. All right, so who am I? My name is Dustin Myers, and I own a branding studio in the Midwest. I'm an industry expert with the Foodable Network. I've also had the privilege to work with restaurants all over the world to help their brand grow by communicating clearly. All right, are you ready? Let's do it. Number 1, understand the 2 approaches that you can take to branding. So let me explain the first approach. So you're ready to start the new business. So you go get your logo design. And then a little bit later, you're like, okay, but now it's time to get the website up. So you go to the website company and they put their own twist on it. And then you go to get your exterior signage made and you drop $15,000 on this exterior sign. So then you get into social media and start doing posts, and then other things come along, your menus and billboards and advertisements. And none of it has a consistent message. There is no cohesiveness. And what you do is create this cloud of confusion. And nobody really knows what the brand stands for. So you're pouring all of this money into this cloud of confusion and think, man, we're not really making any traction. We're not really connecting with people. Maybe our marketing agency is just no good. So you go and fire them and get a new marketing agency, and they just keep going forward with the same mistakes, and your customers are confused. Your employees don't know what the brand stands for and don't know how to communicate the brand. And you as the owner, you've got an idea of what that is, but nobody really has a clear articulated message of what that needs to be. And you continue down this path, you continue throwing money into the cloud of confusion. All the while you're wasting time, energy, and investment in the wrong system. Now, does any of that sound familiar? Probably, because most brands take this approach. Most businesses don't understand that there's another way to do it, a way that is so much more effective. And this is the biggest problem that most businesses are making with their brand. Okay, so the other way to go about it doesn't look anything like the previous way. This way starts with the communication strategy. Once you have your communication strategy in place, then you design the identity. That's the visual design elements. That's your logo, colors, fonts, textures, patterns, all of the visual aesthetics that are going to communicate the strategy. Now, once the strategy is in place and the visual branding is in place, then everything you do after that is sourced out of the strategy through the visual design, and everything is on the same page, working towards the same goal, and your employees know what that is. You as an owner know what that is and are able to articulate it clearly. Every time you go to run a new ad or a new marketing campaign, you have the foundation in place. You know what you're doing. You know you're not just throwing money at a broken system. So does that make sense? You don't want to be in the cloud of confusion. You want your brand to be consistently strategic, because once you get that core in place, it's going to influence everything you do for the next 5, 10, 15 years. How you train your employees, how employees can become ambassadors for the brand, what you say on your website, what you say in the ads. All of this now has a foundation and a core that's guiding everything, so you can move forward in a consistent way, make the competition look like they don't know what they're doing. This is the key. All right, does that make sense? Great. Number 2, understand that your brand is not your logo. A lot of people get this confused. When they hear brand, they think of design, they think of marketing, maybe they think of their business strategy. Your brand is not any of those things. Your brand is your reputation. So when you hear brand, think reputation. But let's think about what makes up your brand. Okay, your brand is made up of your food. It is made up of design. It's made up of the experience that customers receive. It's made up of your website and your online presence, how you present yourself. Your brand is how you're perceived in the community. So whether or not you invest any energy into your branding, you are going to have a brand. You will have a reputation. And whether or not it's positive or negative depends on the things that go into making that brand. So your brand is the most valuable asset in your company. You can have a great big building. You can have tons of employees. You can have all the equipment. You can have all the furniture. You can have all of these things, but if your reputation stinks, you're dead. You cannot survive with a bad reputation. You cannot survive with a bad brand. So I challenge you to reshape your thinking and understand that your brand is the most valuable asset in your entire company. All right, let's look at number 3. Number 3 is define a strategy that connects with your customers. Whether your business grows or dies depends on how well you can communicate with potential customers. That is the lifeblood of any business. It all starts with communication. So I don't have time to get into every detail of what your communication strategy should include, but let me give you 3 tips, okay? Don't sell to external problems. Sell to internal problems. The internal problems that you can't see on the surface are the actual reasons that people make purchasing decisions. So if you are positioning all of your ads to an external problem, you are not going to connect with them on a personal level. All right, step 2 is simplify and articulate your message. You might be great at a lot of things, but you need to figure out what is the one thing that is going to stick in people's minds that only we can say, and how can we simplify that and cut through the noise. People are bombarded with thousands and thousands of ads every day. So how are you going to cut through the noise and speak to them on a very real level? It's going to have to be simple, and it's going to have to be clearly articulated. Does that make sense? Of course it does. None of this is rocket science, but most people are not doing it. All right, and then the last thing is just craft your message around the customer, not yourself. So many websites and things that I go to are basically just bragging on themselves. They're saying, we do this, we offer this, come buy this stuff. You've got to switch it around to where you are in the customer's position, and all your customer cares about is how are you going to either save them time, save them money, elevate their social status, make them feel good about themselves. All of your marketing and messaging needs to be around one of those things. So don't sell to external problems, simplify and articulate and craft the message around them. Those are just some of the high points of how you should develop your communication strategy. All right, so does that make sense? You ready for number 4? Number 4 is use design as a tool to communicate your strategy. All right, design is not a necessary evil. It's an extremely powerful tool. We are victims of it every day. Have you ever been driving down the road and you look over and see a restaurant sign or see the front of a restaurant and think, oh man, that place looks good. That place looks interesting. Maybe I should try that someday. There, you are forming opinions based solely on the presentation, solely on design. You have no idea if their food is good. You have no idea if their service is good. But because it looked interesting, it caught your attention and made you want to try it. If your visual design is not pulling people off the street because they want to check out your restaurant because they think it looks cool, you are missing out on business. Design is an extremely important tool that shouldn't be viewed as a necessary evil. It shouldn't be farmed out to whoever's cheapest. The design is the first impression anybody is ever going to have of your restaurant. If you can capture their attention and invoke trust and make people think, wow, this place looks really cool, then you're going to get a shot at their business. And if you can follow up with a good experience and good food, you're going to keep their business. Number 5, once you have the brand core in place, create guidelines so that you can be consistent. You can't be changing your messaging every time, and if you don't have the brand core in place, then you will be. You see this all the time with big brands. They understand that if you're going to stick in people's minds, you have to be consistent, you have to know what you're saying, why you're saying it, be clear and concise, and speak to their needs, and do it over and over and over and over until you have claimed a spot in their mind, so that when they think, oh, where do I want to go to eat? You pop into their mind because you've been consistent in your message, in your visual presentation, in everything that you do, communicating your value and making them feel like you're a brand that they want to be a part of. So create guidelines so that you can hold on to this momentum. Let me show you this. This is brand guidelines for one of the clients that I've worked with. And through here, you can see all the ways that they should be presented visually, and you see how they, what fonts they should use, what their brand colors are, the different design elements of their brand that translates into signage, menus, websites, social media campaigns. Also, we talk about brand values and the strategy, who they're trying to reach, their customer profiles, their positioning statement, what's the one thing that makes them different than everybody else. And this was a really fun project because all of their competitors were fighting for the same position. So once we were looking at all of that, it's like, wow, there's a clear opening in the market that we can go after this and differentiate from all your competition. And it worked, and they're seeing the fruit of that now. And now when they run ads, they don't have to try to reinvent the wheel every time. And they know that we've got the tools in place to be successful. Okay, those are the 5 things you need to do. Now I'd like to introduce you to a client who I worked with. They are a young franchise that has been getting set up and was ready to take it to the next level, and I was able to take them from where they were, set them up for building a national franchise. So here is Dom, who can explain how it went for him.
No, I wasn't confident. So that was part of that was the main reason why I reached out to you. I just wasn't confident behind the messaging. I felt that we were all over the place. When it came, because we do different types of marketing, not just social media. We do print, we do local, we do, all types of social media, and different people's hands are on certain projects. So it was the messaging wasn't always the same. Well, I knew, so let's rewind about 5 years ago. I found the best artist I knew, right? He helped me design from scratch the logo, and just from 2012 to when we met in 2017, it was just what he had designed. Like I said, different people were helping me with marketing, and so like people would take what he had created and just do whatever they wanted with the logo, with the messaging, and that it wasn't as unified as I wanted it to be. So we spend on every new store that we open, we spend probably about $10,000 to $15,000 just in signage alone. So yeah, big money. And I didn't, when I saw the initial investment, I was kind of like shocked, but as you walked me through the process and walked me through the planning, especially, that was, I think, the most value that we got, the strategic planning behind it. We spend, probably over 100,000 a year just in signage and printing and all these other things alone. So when you think about the initial investment, which is it's a big amount, but the long-term value you're going to get, it's well worth it. Any person who's worked with me, as far as like people who do our social media, who do our menu design, who do any type of design, and I hand them the brand strategy guide, they're in love because they have the Bible in front of them, and all they have to do is just follow what the Bible says. It just makes their lives easier, and working together with them is much more enjoyable because they're just following what you give them. And I'm allowed to do what I do best, and they're allowed to do what they do best. I was a little skeptical at first because I didn't know you, but over a few phone calls and video conference that we did, I started to get more confident. I saw your previous work, which I really enjoyed, and I was at a point where this is something I had to do to move to the next level, to grow from, let's say, five company stores to maybe 20. I needed this rebrand, this refresh, and guidance, and it just really helped. I was very confident. Once we pulled the trigger, I was very confident. I think that was probably, besides having the brand strategy guide, I think that was the workshop was probably one of the biggest benefits, because not only did I understand more clearly what my brand and who my customers were, but also my team as well, because we allowed the team to sit in on the workshop. So it was definitely worth it. With having this brand strategy and guidelines in place, it allows us to target our customers more directly. Call me. Call me. I'd have to say what kind of what position are they in? Are they looking to grow? Are they looking to are they trying to give a different image? I definitely go with it. Just by having a sign outside that is much nicer looking and much attractive can bring in a lot new business. So, and not only do you provide signage, there's hundreds of things that come behind it, but if they're on the fence and you really you care about the longevity of your business, and you want to grow, and you want to just do better, pull the trigger.
Isn't it awesome that by spending a little bit of time and energy up front, you can change the entire trajectory of your business? I believe that every business deserves to have the tools to succeed. And I have seen that the two components of your brand core are absolutely invaluable. Whether or not you go on to do amazing things or whether you die out is going to hinge greatly on how can you communicate to customers and how do you present yourself. So you're a business owner, you're pouring your entire life into the success of this business. You owe it to yourself to at least schedule the free strategy call. We'll discuss where you're at, some possible steps that you could take to begin moving towards an elite brand. Wouldn't it be worth it if you could spend a little bit of time right now so that you could have the peace of mind that when you spend money on advertising, it's actually doing what it's designed to do. It's actually going to connect with people. It's going to make you look interesting and fun. It's going to help people get in the door so that you can prove what a great restaurant you have. That'd be awesome, wouldn't it? You owe it to yourself. Schedule the free strategy call. I love talking about business. I love talking about how you can grow your brand by communicating clearly. I have a simple process that I have walked dozens and dozens of clients through to help them figure out their strategy, help them figure out a good design. Every project looks a little different. Every client has a little bit different needs. So I'm sure that we could come up with what is going to work for you. So if you felt like, man, I think we are in the cloud of confusion and I don't want to keep pumping money into that, then schedule the free consultation. My name is Dustin Myers. Thank you so much for spending this time with me. I hope that you found it informative, and I hope that you have some steps that you can go out and do right now that are going to help you move out of the cloud of confusion into a consistently strategic brand.